Hello, welcome back. Since today is the 15th of October, that's how we say the dates, mostly in British English, 15th of October. 15th of October, we're celebrating Teachers' Day here in Brazil, which is where I'm from and where I live. And I thought I would come and share a little bit about how I became an English teacher. I have said this so many times before, but I know there are new people watching me all the time, so why not say it again? Why not say it again? I was 21 years old. This is a while ago. I am now 36, almost 37. I was 21 when I got fired from my job. So I used to work, this is something that happened in the past. It was what I was doing back then. I used to work in a shop, actually a very fancy boutique, fancy, special with expensive items shop. And I was selling clothes and bags and shoes and jewelry, and they were all very nice and luxury items. I was not happy there, that's the truth. I was not happy there. I was not good at selling, not naturally good at persuading people, making people buy stuff, having to call them up and tell them to come and see the new collection. Just felt really burdensome for me. This means it felt really unnatural and it was a burden. It was a difficult task for me. You know what I mean? And so I had not been performing very well at work. I had not been. I cannot say I have not been because it's not about a situation that's happening now. This is something that happened so many years ago. So I had not been performing very well. And one day I was called into the office and they said, I'm afraid we're going to have to let you go. I'm afraid we're going to have to let you go. This means I am kind of sorry, not really, but a little bit, to say that you are fired. No more working here for you. I left in tears. In tears is just another way to say crying. Not because I liked the job, I didn't, but because it's just so painful to deal with rejection. Don't you think? It hurts. It's not even about whether or not you like that boyfriend or whether or not you like that job. It's about the fact that when they tell you, I no longer want you to be in it with me, you just feel rejected because that's the truth. You are, in fact, being rejected. So I was crying, walked to the tube station, got the train, the underground home. This is when I lived in London. And decided a couple of weeks later that I was going to put up an ad in a Brazilian magazine saying that I was teaching conversation lessons for Brazilians who needed to improve their English. Why and how did I have that idea? I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I remember noticing, noticing how native speakers were always complimenting my English. They were always saying I spoke so well and I sounded like a native speaker. And I thought, I see Brazilians around me really struggling, having a difficult time learning this language. So why not teach them in the same way I learned, which was learning to listen and repeat, and make that a daily thing. So I put the ad up on that magazine, tiny, very small ad. I got a call a couple of days later from a lovely woman called Nubia. And she asked more details about my lessons. I explained. She asked how long I'd been teaching. Unfortunately, I had to do something I don't like to do, which is tell a little lie. And I told her I had been teaching for 2 years because I thought to myself, if I tell her she's going to be my very first student in my whole life, she's not going to trust that I can do anything for her. And I knew that I would be able to do this. I don't know how I knew. I don't have the answer. I literally do not know how. But all I know is I planned that lesson so well. I was going to teach 100% in English from day one. Yes, from day one. And I was going to talk about life, and I was going to talk about her, and I was going to get her to repeat sentences that were useful and learn vocabulary that could really make a difference in her life. So she came over, and I had my first lesson with her, 2-hour lesson. I remember a 2-hour lesson, not 2 hours, 2-hour lesson, because you say lesson, you remove the S from hours, okay? And it was really great. She really enjoyed it. She paid me £20 for those 2 hours, which I really, really cherished. I loved it because I had just done something that I had enjoyed and that I felt. I think this was the feeling that really changed something within me, inside, okay? Within me. I had done something useful. I had used my time to do something that would make a difference for someone else. And I did not feel that standing in a shop floor, on the shop floor, for hours a day trying to sell clothes for people who didn't really care about what they were buying because they just had so much money they didn't really care, was doing anything good for me as a person. I felt like I was just wasting my time most of the time. And with Nubia, I just felt good. So she left and she booked her next lesson and she became my student, my first student. I was teaching her and I was teaching her husband as well, separately. And then 7 months later, they decided to come back to Brazil. And this is before online lessons, y'all. This is before Skype and everything else that came after. So I was only teaching face to face. That meant that we had to stop our lessons. On the last day she came to see me, she gave me a box of chocolates and a card. And she said in the card that she had never had a teacher quite like me. And that when I read the card in front of her, I just felt deep in my heart, look, this is the moment I have to tell her the truth. She has to know that she was my first student. She has to know that I will never forget her. So I told her, and I said, oh, I will never forget you. You were my very first student. I'm sorry I had to lie to you. I knew I would be able to teach you, but if I had said it was my first lesson, I don't think you would have trusted me very much. So I told her the truth. I came clean, told her the truth, and never forgot her. And that was the beginning of my long, long journey and history as a teacher. I've never looked back. I love this expression. This means I've never changed my mind about this or decided to do something else or regretted this decision to pursue teaching full time. And in the last 4.5 years, teaching has changed so much for me with 100 Days. So 100 Days was a dream come true because it made my work accessible to so many people from so many different nationalities, people that would not know about me otherwise, and now they do, and now they can learn from me in a way that they feel I'm right there in front of them, even though I'm not. So why am I recording this video? I'm recording this video because sometimes we just don't understand stuff that happens in our life. Sometimes we just don't understand things that we go through. Pain that we go through. I was really hurting when I got sacked, which is the same as fired. And I never knew that this would come from that moment I was let go and I felt so rejected. If there's something that you just feel you have to do, even though you don't know why, because I didn't know why I was doing that. I just felt I had to do it. And the moment I had my first lesson with Nubia, I knew I was a teacher. I was a teacher. And from then, I started learning lots of things I did not know about grammar, about teaching. I decided to not take a traditional teacher's training course because I did not want to teach traditionally. So I learned lots about teaching and methodologies. So I learned lots and lots of it just by myself. And that was amazing because I could really develop my own way of teaching that does not rely on things people have said once or things that we read in books. It's really so much about my own experience as a learner and as a teacher. So I've literally combined these two in order to find my own way of teaching English. So I'm really happy to be recording this now because I know so many of you are going to watch it and will understand a bit more about my work and everything I've been through. But just most importantly, don't ignore that feeling inside you telling you, go this way, try this. Even if it makes no sense and you don't even know why you're doing it, do it. Because you never know just how much that can change the course of your lifetime. Thank you so much for watching and thank you all for being my students. See you next time.